Hey guys, today I wanted to share my most anticipated reads for 2017, and there are a ton of them. As I started scouring the internet, there are just so many, and I tried to narrow it down to about 20, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible just to give you just enough information, a little teaser about every book. I'm also going to be leaving links below to where you can either pre-order or just get more information if there's not enough out on like Amazon or whatever, so I'll link you to Goodreads. So all of that goodness will be down below in the description. And like I said, I'm just going to try to make this really quick, give you guys just enough info, and hopefully you guys will join me in picking some of these up because these are all ones that I was super excited for. At the end, I'm also going to share a couple that I'm looking forward to, but just didn't quite make my like top 20 or whatever it ended up being. I also have these listed in chronological order of date of release, so not necessarily what ones I'm most looking forward to or any particular order that way, it's just by release date. So yeah, here we go. The first book is Lucian Divine by Renee Carlino. It comes out on January 9th. Evelyn's life isn't what she thought it would be. She wishes a guardian angel would show up and just help change all of that. And suddenly one does, only her guardian angel, Lucian, is an alcoholic, has a drinking problem, ends up breaking one of the biggest cosmic laws. I really love Renee Carlino's writing. My favorite book to date is still Before We Were Strangers. I will leave a link to that below in the description. It is such an amazing book. Still has me raving about it if you can't tell. It was one of my favorite reads of 2016 and I just absolutely loved it. So I'm always going to be looking forward to what she puts out next, and this one definitely sounds different and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Next up is Her Every Fear by Peter Swanson. It comes out on January 10th. Kate, currently living in London with her life just out of control, and she decides that she needs to put a distance between that, or just a change of pace would be really nice. So she swaps apartments with her cousin from Boston. Things only get worse from there. When she arrives, she is questioned by police about her cousin and finds out that the woman next door had been murdered. She begins to question her cousin, especially after she starts finding these little items throughout his apartment. I haven't read anything by Peter Swanson, but this one sounds incredible and the cover is awesome. Next up is Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. It comes out on January 17th. In this fantasy world, everyone develops what they call this current gift, and the current gift is a power that can shape the future. While most characters benefit from their power, there are two that become more vulnerable to other people's controls of their powers. It is now a matter of whether they can reclaim their power and fate and hopefully restore balance to the world. I really loved the Divergent series and hope that this one is just as good, if not better. It sounds really interesting and has a really pretty cover too. The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney, and that is coming out on January 24th. And I'm just going to give you guys a quote because I couldn't find much more than that. It's like a little teaser kind of quote that came out. It says, "In the tradition of The Girls on the Train, The Silent Wife, and Gone Girl comes an enthralling psychological thriller that spins one woman's seemingly good fortune and another woman's mysterious fate through a kaleidoscope of duplicity, death, and deception." This is another author that I haven't read, but it sounds really gripping, and it's also been picked up to become a movie directed by Ron Howard, so if this says anything, it's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to get my hands on this copy, read it, and definitely have it done before the movie comes out, and then I'll probably be first in line for that as well if I love the book as much as I think I will. Alright, so next up is Right Behind You by Lisa Gardner, coming out on January 31st. Charla's brother beats their drunken father to death, and for years she has thought of him as a hero, but 8 years later she's been adopted by these two FBI agents and her brother has resurfaced, only this time he's killing again, and it is quoted to say, "The biggest danger is the one standing right behind you." I own Find Her, but I still haven't gotten around to reading it, and I have loved all the things that I've heard about it and all of her books and the writing, so I'm really anticipating this release. Maybe I need a Lisa Gardner marathon. This thriller sounds incredible. It gives me the vibes of like Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, and if it's anything as haunting as that, then this one will definitely be a home run, so I'm definitely excited. Also coming out on January 31st is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is a tale of two sisters who dream of seeing the Caraval. It's a once-a-year show where the audience gets to participate in it. And the girls Tella and Scarlett travel this crazy distance and finally arrive only to have Tella kidnapped. She becomes the center of the show, and whoever finds her wins. With only 5 nights to save her sister, Scarlett sets out to win this Caraval. The cover is stunning. It sounds a little bit like the Hunger Games, and I love the magical dark twist on this like circus theme. I know people say like Night Circus is a really good one, so I have that on my shelf as well, just haven't made it to it. But I really need this one now. I am so intrigued by it, and I definitely cannot wait for it to come out. Coming out on February 7th is The Lost Girl of Astor Street by Stephanie Morrill. Piper's best friend Lydia suddenly disappears. She sets out to solve this mystery, and Piper doesn't shy away from questioning even their own wealthy neighborhood, but has to figure out how much she is willing to risk, how much she actually wants to discover in order to save her best friend. It is 1920s, it is Chicago, and it's a mystery, so count me in. Another one that I am so excited for is The Last of August by Brittany Cavallaro, coming out on February 14th. I do have the full review of the first book. I believe this is going to be a trilogy. It's called A Study in Charlotte. It's a sort of like modern Sherlock Holmes, Watson kind of like retelling, but only it's their like great-grandchildren or something like that. And I will leave a link below to the full review of A Study in Charlotte if you want to get to know a little bit more about that one, or if you're just kind of interested and want to see what it's about before moving forward with the second book. And in this one, we follow Jamie and Charlotte after they had a rough fall semester. They were almost killed and ended up solving this mystery just like their ancestors did. And with winter break commencing, they head to Sussex. They team up again with Charlotte's uncle when he goes missing. His name is Leander, and Jamie and Charlotte head out on this like European adventure that ends up just changing everything. So first of all, we get more Jamie and Charlotte, so yay. And a European adventure and mystery, like super excited for that, and I am just like really stoked for this series. Like I said, I believe it's going to be a trilogy, and so this is the second book in it, and I'm just really looking forward to it. Again, it's got another really pretty cover, and I'm just excited. Coming out February 21st is Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab, and this one I could only find another quote. It says, "The battle between 4 magical Londons come to a head in this stunning finale to the New York Times best-selling Shades of Magic trilogy by rising star V.E. Schwab." I have not read any of these series, but again, with that whole magical aspect of things and the raving reviews that I've heard, it is definitely on my list. This very well may be that final push that I needed to really get into this series. Also coming out on February 21st is The Book of Mirrors by E.O. Shirovici. I'm not sure how to say that. This I have seen around on Bookstagram a little bit, and it just is getting all kinds of crazy reviews. It sounds absolutely amazing. So a little bit about this. An abruptly ended manuscript finds its way onto Peter's desk. He is intrigued by the story and the author's voice. He takes this book that's entitled A Book of Mirrors, and it turns out to be this like memoir from this guy Richard's time at Princeton. And Richard rehashes his time not only at Princeton, but about his relationships and this unsolved murder of a Professor Wider, I believe. Peter begins to question whether Richard really was the one that killed the professor, or if these are all like clues leading to the truth. Richard is now on his deathbed, and the remaining pages are nowhere to be found. Peter feels that this really does need to be like solved, and ends up hiring an investigative journalist. They set out to track down the characters that are in the story, construct these interviews, and hope that all these clues will lead to the truth that has been buried for decades. Like I said, I've heard really great things about it so far. It sounds incredible, and I really want to see this mystery unfold. I think it's got a unique like storytelling, and this, 2017 sounds like it's going to be the year of the thrillers, because just so far within those first 2 months, there's like quite a lineup that I can't wait for. And then we have The Housekeeper by Sullen Dainty coming out on February 28th. Anne Morgan's life takes a turn when she finds herself jobless. In desperate need, she takes a job of a housekeeper for the celebrity Emma Helmsley. Anne, however, discovers that while the Helmsley family may appear completely perfect on the outside, they all have a secret to hide. And then again, I have another quote saying that The Housekeeper is a nuanced and nail-biting psychological thriller about the dark recesses of the human mind and the dangerous consequences of long-buried secrets. This cover is so stunningly beautiful, and I just want to stare at it forever. I would definitely have bought this just for the cover. It would have totally been a cover buy, but as I saw it, it drew me in, and then of course the story hooked me as well. All right, moving on into April, we have Always and Forever, Lara Jean by Jenny Han. I own both of the previous books to this series, and I have yet to read them. So this is another anticipated release that will hopefully push me into the series. It sounds really sweet and relatable. It is about this girl who has an amazing boyfriend. She is head over heels for him, her dad's upcoming wedding, and the return of her sister Margot. And Lara Jean is just having the best senior year. With all good things, they must come to an end. She is forced to make these really big decisions about the boy that she loves and her future. So I just think it hopefully will be a really good conclusion to it all. And like I said, I'll just have to reread all three of them and just kind of knock it out there, but I'm excited for it. Also coming out on April 4th, and probably one of the ones that I'm like dying to get my hands on, is Waking Gods by Sullivan Newell. It comes out April 4th. I don't know if I mentioned that. And there really isn't a ton of info yet on it. I did just pull the entire synopsis because the first book alone, which was Sleeping Giants, I've heard such good things about it, and this one I just don't want to butcher anything or just not give it justice, so I kind of pulled the whole synopsis. And it says, as a child, Rose Franklin made an astonishing discovery, a giant metallic hand buried deep within the earth. As an adult, she's dedicated her brilliant scientific career to solving the mystery that began that fateful day. Why was a titanic robot of an unknown origin buried in pieces around the world? Years of investigation have produced intriguing answers and even more perplexing questions, but the truth is closer now than ever before when a second robot, more massive than the first, materializes and lashes out with deadly force. Now, humankind faces a nightmare invasion scenario made real as more colossal machines touch down across the globe, but Rose and her team at the Earth Defense Corps refuse to surrender. They can turn the tide if they can unlock the last secrets of advanced alien technology. The greatest weapon humanity wields is knowledge into a do-or-die battle to inherit the earth and maybe even the stars. Like I mentioned earlier, have heard nonstop chatter about the first book, Sleeping Giants, and how fantastic it was. I've had it on my list, but when I ran across this yesterday, I literally flipped out. This is going to be a must-read this year. All right, on to May. There are two books that I'm just super excited for, dying to get my hands on, can't wait for them to come out. We'll probably pre-order them right after I make this video. And the first one is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. It comes out on May 2nd. Earlier in the summer, a teenage girl was found dead at the bottom of a river. Later the same summer, a single mother turns up dead too. She had left behind a 15-year-old daughter. The daughter is now parentless, friendless, and is left in the care of her aunt. This aunt originally had ran away from this town, vowed never to return, and Paula Hawkins delivers an urgent, twisting, deeply satisfying read that hinges on the deceptiveness of emotion and memory, as well as the devastating ways that the past can reach a long arm into the present. Beware a calm surface, you never know what lies beneath. I loved The Girl on the Train. I know people had some mixed feelings about it, but I actually really enjoyed it and just really loved it. So I freaked out when I saw that Paula had a new release coming out. I just saw it a few days ago. That's pretty much what started the inspiration for this video, and I knew I had to have my hands on it. Top probably 3 anticipated releases for the year. Also coming out on May 2nd is Until It Fades by K.A. Tucker, yet another awesome author. And Catherine is a waitress and single mother. All she wants to do is give her 5-year-old a really good life and just stay away from being the talk of the town since she had her daughter really young. She's managed to do that up until she saves this man's life. His name is Brett Madden, and he is a hockey icon and media darling. To keep herself out of the spotlight yet again for this good deed that she did, she hides her identity. It seemed to work for a while, but then she finds Brett on her doorstep and everything changes. I've only read one other K.A. Tucker book, and it was He Will Be My Ruin, but the way that she was able to weave mystery and suspense with romance was hands down the best thing I've ever read. So I really love her writing style and her voice, and I cannot wait to read all about Catherine and Brett. And again, it's got another really beautiful cover. Moving along into June, we have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Comes out on June 6th. Evelyn Hugo is this huge like Hollywood movie icon, and she's finally ready to tell her story about like all the glitz, the glam, and the scandals, her 7 husbands. She chooses Monique Grant, who is an unknown magazine reporter, unsure why Evelyn had chose her. Monique decides to use this opportunity to really launch her career, and after listening to Evelyn's life story in her Upper East Side apartment, Monique begins to feel this real connection to this actress. She realizes that they might have more in common than she ever would have thought. Again, this is another author that like I'm really looking forward to, and I have yet to read one of their books, although I do have one of them on my shelves. Everybody just raves about her work, and I couldn't be more excited for this one. I'm really looking forward to it just because of like the glamorous Hollywood lifestyles of the 1950s, of course all the scandals, so I just think this one sounds really great. Coming out on June 13th is Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. This is a sequel and conclusion to The Savage Song. Kate is a girl who's really brave, she hunts monsters, isn't afraid of the dark, totally unlike me, because I feel like in the dark there are monsters and I jump from the bed. Yeah, literally can't sleep with the closet door open. Anyways, August is a monster, and no matter how much he wishes, he can never be human. The war between humans and monsters continues, and a new monster emerges as it lures Kate home. She will face a monster that she thought she killed, a boy she thought she knew, and a demon all her own. I have not, again, read the first book here, but I love the covers, and I've had it on my list, and everything I've heard, it just goes, you know, clear out there to show that I'm clearly lagging in this area. And I've added it to my list of series that I'll be reading this year. All right, this next book, holy moly, I just found out about it like seconds before I filmed this video and I had to do a bunch of research, and it is called The Final Girls by Riley Sager. Comes out July 11th. This one, for sure, pre-ordering right now, hands down, like gonna be probably one of the best books. So I really hope it lives up to it, because if it doesn't, I'll be super, super sad. But it kind of follows this girl from 10 years ago. Her name was Quincy. She became a part of this group that the media calls the Final Girls. It is a group that you do not want to be like involved in or associated with, because it's made up of a bunch of survivors who have all been through something similar to what Quincy went through. She went on this vacation with her 5 friends and she came back alone. What happened was a complete horror, and she has tried so hard to put it all in the past. With the help of Xanax, and of course 10 years later, she has moved on for the most part and is doing really well, until one of those first girls from the Final Girls is found dead. The second Final Girl, Sam, appears on Quincy's doorstep and is pushing her to relive the past. She is trying to decipher what are lies, what's the truth, and Quincy decides it might just be time to try and remember what really happened that night 10 years ago. So this is a debut novel, and it is getting seriously like raving reviews. There are 2 reviews in particular from other authors I wanted to share with you guys. The first one is from Lisa Gardner, and it says that the Final Girls need you. The Final Girls are tough, everything survivors should be, but the new threat is clever, ominous, and even closer than you suspect. You are about to gasp, you might drop this book, you may have to look over your shoulder, but you must keep reading. This is the best book of 2017. Then you have Stephen King quoted saying, "The first great thriller of 2017 is almost here. Final Girls by Riley Sager. If you liked Gone Girl, you'll like this." Alright, so I have just a couple more for you. Thank you so much for hanging in this long. I'm so sorry this is probably taking forever, but I'm trying to get them in, but there's so many good books. So this next one is Wicked Like a Wildfire by Lana Popovic, I think. Popovic, not quite sure. August 15th is when it comes out. The women in Iris and Melina's family are all born with this gleam. This allows them to manipulate beauty through the use of magic. Iris can turn a kaleidoscope of flowers that she sees into this beautiful glasswork. Her twin sister Melina can use her moods to create music, and their cold mother bakes the environment into these delicious treats. Sounds enchanting, right? Well, their mother forbids them from sharing their gleam with anyone, and most of all, they're not allowed to fall in love. They have built a quiet life, and any attention would shatter that. What the girls don't know is that there is an ancient curse that haunts their family and eventually leaves their mother somewhere between life and death, and it's up to Iris and Melina to save each other. The cover instantly caught my attention. The story sounds interesting. It almost has like a Witches of Easton type vibe, and while I didn't stick with the show and never even attempted the books, I'm hoping this one will definitely keep me hooked. Wicked Like Wildfire is the first book in a sumptuous, bewitching duology about the power of love, death, magic, and the many faces of beauty, is what was quoted on Goodreads, I believe. So definitely looking forward to it. If anything, the cover is just stunning and I want my hands on it. Okay, so the last book in my most anticipated reads for 2017 is The Animal Under the Fur by E.J. Mello. The date is not released as far as I know, but it is about this girl named Nashville who was abandoned on the streets as a baby. She was raised to be the perfect assassin and is now known as Kill Operative Number 3. Nashville doesn't let anybody close to her, knows even better that she can only rely on herself. And Carter lost everybody that he cared about within the last year and buried his ability to love with him. He is now also fully focused on completing all of his missions, and when a deadly weapon threatens to fall into the wrong hands, Carter and 3 are forced into a partnership. Can they stop fighting long enough to succeed and keep their perfect records? Again quoted, "In the game of lies and deceit, the line between friend and foe is often blurred by blood splatter." The Animal Under the Fur is a hate to loathe to love standalone novel filled with savagery, secrets, and enough inks to wrinkle the pages you'll find gripped in your hands. I'm so terrible. I have yet to read an E.J. Mello book, but her Dreamland series comes highly recommended to me. So again, I see a theme going here. It is definitely the year of picking up and finishing all these series. Kind of sounds like it has a little bit of Mr. and Miss Smith or The Killers kind of vibes, and I'm already in love with it. I can't wait for it to be released, or at least give a date so I have something else to look forward to other than just its really cool cover. And as far as I know, like I said, that there isn't one, so hoping for something, and I already follow her, so I'm just waiting for the day that date drops. Alright, so those are all the ones that I am super excited for, made my top 20 or whatever it was list of anticipated reads. But there were a couple other runner-ups that I'm still really interested in picking up. They just didn't, catch my attention quite as much as some of these others, but are ones that I will definitely be picking up either when they come out or shortly after or somewhere in there because they all do interest me, and I am looking forward to them. So the first one is The Raven God by Alane Adams. It comes out September 12th. I have been reading the Legends of Orkney series, so this is the third and final book in that, and I'm just really excited for it. The cover did get released, so I'll leave that so you can see it. It is really pretty. I'm excited just to see how it all concludes. The next book is It Started With Goodbye by Christina June, coming out May 9th. Then there is A List of Cages by Robin Rowe, coming out January 10th. A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, coming out May 2nd. Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken, coming out on January 3rd. Everything You Want Me to Be by Mindy Meja, I'm not sure how you say that, January 3rd. Midnight Jewel by Rochelle Mead, coming out April 25th. The Song Rising by Samantha Shannon, coming out March 7th. The Breakdown by B.A. Paris, coming out June 20th. And then, of course, the long-anticipated Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban Illustrated Edition, which we all know they've been releasing early October, so I'm super excited for that and can't wait for its cover release. And then lastly, I am really hoping for something from Gillian Flynn or Caroline Kepnes because those are two authors that I absolutely adore, love, will hands down buy anything that comes out from them. And I'm really hoping for new work because I haven't had anything in a while and I kind of need it. So yes, all the links will be down below. If you see something you want to pre-order or just want more information on, definitely head down, click on it, check it out. The release dates are there. They may or may not change, so if they do, I'll try my best to keep it up to date. If not, this is just what is out currently at the moment that I have filmed this video. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it was a little bit lengthy, but like I said, there are just so many good books. Comment below, let me know which ones you are most looking forward to. Bye guys.